Hi guys, thank you all for joining today. We will have another lecture hosted by Alice and Victoria. It will be all about the business case and how you can make a better presentation and pitch. Our two speakers for today, as I already said, are Victoria and Alice. Victoria has actively participated in a lot of economics and business cases Olympiads. She has won one as a captain. And apart from that, she's also a social media manager for the In Your Own Words Olympiad. She will share her experience as captain. And we also have Alice with us, who is just 17 years old, and she's graduating from one of the strongest math schools. She's also applying for some universities in the US to get some studies in the artificial intelligence. And her role in the business case team where they participated and won was mostly to collect the data and analyze them. So we have two different perspectives, one from the captain and one as the data analyst. So the floor is yours, Victoria and Alice. We want to hear your story of business excellence.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Victoria Logunova, and today I'll tell you who the team captain is. In my opinion, a captain is a person who must be able to set goals and objectives, plan time, work with people, and constantly improve. So let's discuss it. Let's talk about this in more detail. Firstly, the captain is the person who is responsible in the team for setting goals and objectives. It is important when everyone in your team knows the goal and everyone should know where and why he's going. I believe that the team acts much more effectively when there are not only group goals, but also individual ones. For example, our group goal at the final was to win the main prize. And for example, Alice's individual goal was to get a successful project for their portfolio for entering America. And for example, my personal goal was to prove to myself that I can win such a high-level Olympiad. In highlighting the goals of the team and the process of achieving them, a common Google Doc helps, in which team members upload their completed parts of the work. So anyone can see at what stage his team is and what has already been done. Another great thing is Excel, in which the team captain manages a table with the task, responsible persons, the deadlines, and the current status. I mean, not started, in progress, or completed. In addition, the captain must control the quality of the tasks and the overall structure of the work. Like he must know all parts of the work. For example, how the marketing strategy of one participant is combined with the financial model of another. If this control is not carried out, your work will turn into satisfaction of the criteria, and probably you won't win because everyone can work with the criteria, but you need to satisfying them and doing something beyond because it's that you need to do. It is important to know that it is absolutely normal to change tasks in a team during work because you can't always immediately understand which task is good for one exact person and what is bad. Secondly, the captain is the person who is responsible for the time management. In addition to setting deadlines for tasks, he also has to make sure that the team does not overwork and has time to rest. This is really important, and our team has a story connected with this. Before the final presentation, we did not sleep for a day and worked endlessly. And in the morning, we were very tired and could not completely and smartly answer questions. And many mistakes were found in the project itself, which we made when working last night. At the same time, the other team, which did less, but got enough sleep before the presentation, achieved better results. In addition, the captain is responsible for taking small breaks during work so that team members do not overwork and keep a fresh look at the tasks. So, for example, the solution in our case in the final was born after one of the coffee break. In addition, the captain is the organizer of team meetings and calls. In order for the team not to spend a lot of time on such events, the captain must have a discussion plan in advance, which he announced at the beginning of the call. In our case, calls as a rule consisted of the following parts, like presentation of the results of the work done by each participant since the last meeting, discussion of current issues, results, and distribution of new tasks. Thirdly, the captain is the person who's responsible for the atmosphere in the team. And I strongly believe that the most important thing is the separation of personal and work relations. When you have this, your teammates feel comfortable and confident, they work more effectively. And moreover, after poor results, it will be easier to stay together with your team. To achieve this, it is important to criticize not each other's as a persons, but criticize your work. An example of bad critic is Alice. You were the terrible analyst. You're a bad person, and I don't know what we will do after this. It was a bad example. And the good example is Alice. Why do you choose such sources for analysis? It seems to me that they can publish false information because they rely on subjective judgments. And do you agree with me? So then can you do this analysis again? And if you feel that you cannot copy with it, I can transfer this task to Katya and give you another one. In addition, sometimes misunderstandings in the team reduce the productivity of teamwork. Often they appear due to the fact that team members did not understand each other's idea and continue to insist on their own. To resolve such situations, you can do the following. One team member retells the idea of the second in his own words and vice versa. In addition, when working with people, it is always important to understand their characteristics. Like your team members can be both creative persons who need to be heard and performers who need specific features, specific tasks and strict control over your work. You, as a captain, must understand these features and select your own management style. And it is important to note that it does not come immediately and changes from one team to another. However, the thing that you will have in all teams is a discipline. It's always more fun to play the game, you know the rule of. So negotiate your team's rules that everyone must follow. For example, in our team, we have such rules as arriving at meetings on time or not interrupting each other's when discussing. The last but not least, the captain is a person who, like other team members, must always develop. If you see more successful teams near you, feel free to share experience with them, because people love to share knowledge they are good at. But please don't copy everything that they say. Separate out what can make your team work more effectively. Remember about management style. In addition, when solving a case, you will speak with different experts, but about this, Alice will speak in more detail. My advice to captains is take from the feedback only what will make your project better, because not always these people can understand the specifics of your task. In conclusion, I would like to say that it is really difficult to be a captain because, as I said before, you need to know how to set goals and objectives, plan time, work people, and constantly improve. But nevertheless, I think that being a captain is like being the conductor of the orchestra that plays your favorite music. That's all, and I pass the word to Alice.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you all for coming here. We're really flattered. And my name is Alice. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the experience of an analyst in the team. But before I start, actually, many of the things Victoria said were very specific and concrete, and my part of the lecture will be more of a personal things, personal experience, and it can be applied to not only an analyst, but to literally any person in the team, whether it's a captain or a designer or anyone else. So I'm going to begin with one of the most complicated things for me in solving the case, and it's time management. I believe you all know how important it is, because when solving the case, you're very limited in time. And it's really vital to not waste it and to operate your time properly. And that's why I'm going to be talking about this. So the first thing that can spoil your time management is the fear of a blank sheet. I think you all know what it is, but if not, it's the feeling when you cannot start the task because you're afraid of just beginning it. And that's what I experienced when we took part in the business contest. So the story is, it happened in the last night before the presentation because we only had 3 days to solve the case. And I had to create a list of the partners for our project. So I had to come up with the names of the companies, to analyze what they do, to find out what we will be doing for them and vice versa, what they will be doing for us. And I would sit in front of my laptop for 20 minutes, literally. I swear, I was sitting, staring at the empty screen and just not able to do anything. And it was a disaster because the time was running out. We were running out of time. I just had to complete that task. And I would just write down the first line and delete it, write it down, delete it over and over again. Later on, I realized I was doing that because I wanted my work to be perfect from like the very first minutes. I wanted to complete it perfectly from the beginning. And usually it's impossible to do. You know, you realize that, but still it's important to know that. So if you face something like that, just know that usually it works like that. You complete the task. You just do it somehow, in some way. And after that, you put corrections into it. You make it more and more perfect every time. It's impossible to make your job perfectly from the very beginning. So what you do to fight that fear of a blank sheet, you just make yourself, you force yourself into writing down that first line and not deleting it, writing down the second line and not deleting it. It's going to take you some effort, but what I did, I just made a deal with myself. I said, okay, I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes and I'm going to be working on that task for 5 minutes. After that, you will just get into the process and everything will be much easier, but it's important to begin. So yeah, that was the first thing that may really, really spoil your time management. The second thing is, well, it's important to not be afraid, as Victoria said, it's important to not be afraid of giving your tasks away because, we're always taught that it's cool to fight when something doesn't work. And that's true, but during the business contest, it's important to not waste time on that fighting. So in real life, if you can't do something and you say, okay, I'm going to try it again and again and again until it works out, it's really great. It shows that you're a strong person. But during the business contest, it doesn't work like that because you'll just waste time. And it's much easier and more effective to say, okay, I can't do that task. That means that I have to find the person that can do it. So that's what you usually do. And by the way, it's one of the things that the captain should also look after. So if the captain sees that someone is unable to complete the task, it's his job to find another person to give this task to. Okay, next one. Also about giving your tasks away and asking for help. I want you to remember that you can not only ask for help from your teammates, but you can look someone, let's say, from the outside to turn for help to. For example, some outer experts. It can be like, just think about it. Each one of you knows at least 50 people, right? And each one of those 50 people also knows 50 people. So that creates a very wide and big circle of people that you can turn for help to. And well, it's important to not be afraid of using all of your social connections. Again, story from the business contest where we participated. We needed to find out whether real people, real businessmen would work and become the partners of our project, of our AI skills center. But we are teenagers. We don't know any businessmen personally. Well, at least not many of them. So that's what we did. I asked my father to post to post a question in his page on Facebook. And his friends reposted that question. And friends of his friends also reposted that question. That's how we got almost, I believe it was almost 30 answers from businessmen, from directors of big companies, and they all answered us, even though they didn't know us in person. And by the way, it was a very, very precious and valuable information for a project, because we could insert it into the presentation and show the jury that, hey, look, real people are willing to work with us. That means we did something really great. And also another story from the same contest. Again, we needed to find the weak spots in our project, and we decided to ask an expert. It was a chief marketing officer of one of the leading IT companies in Russia. And we did not know him like in person, but I found his contact in the internet. I found his phone or his Telegram profile or something. And I thought, okay, I'm going to just text him, because I was really tired and annoyed. And I really didn't care what he would think about me after such a move. So I texted him. I was very polite. I created a big message and I explained in details what I needed from him. But there was literally no hope that he will answer. But guess what? After 3 hours, we got one of the most detailed answers we've ever got from anyone. Just imagine, it's some busy person. It's like a grown-up man who has a lot of work to do. And he just answered a text from some teenager participating in a business contest. And that's what actually amazed me of how easy it works. You will be surprised how kind and open people are when you reach out to them. So please don't be afraid to text some people to ask for help. It's totally normal, and it shows that you're willing to improve your project. Okay, next thing that may also make you waste some time is arguing. Don't get me wrong, arguing is a very good thing, even inside of the team, because it helps you to understand each other better, one, and find weak spots and improve your project, two. But it's really important to not miss the moment when arguing becomes useless. Again, the story from the contest. Me and Victoria, we started arguing about something. I don't really remember what it was, but we both had like really strong arguments. And I don't know how about you, but I'm a very competitive person. And I love arguing with people, let's be honest. But at some point, I realized two things. Number one is that I was not arguing to improve the project anymore. I was arguing to just win the argument. I just wanted to win that competition. And number two is that none of us, me or Victoria, could convince each other, because we both had very strong arguments. And usually there is no perfect solution for the case. So there are just different ways, and they all have their advantages and disadvantages. And I realized that, well, it's kind of impossible to find the perfect one it's impossible to choose between my position and Victoria's position. And that meant that this argument would lead us to nowhere. We wouldn't find the decision. We would just argue for another hour or two and waste our time. And that's what I did. I forced myself into agreeing. Well, not agreeing. I just said, okay, I see that this is leading nowhere. It's not a useful or effective communication anymore. So I'm just going to stop that. I'm going to agree with you, Victoria, and we're going to choose your solution and work on that. Because, it wasn't, I believe it was the right thing to do. And I believe that's what you should do to more efficiently use your time, because sometimes it's really impossible to find the perfect solution, to find the perfect answer. And you have to sometimes sacrifice your position in the argument to, end it and to continue working. So please pay attention to that point. I think it's really important and vital. Next. It's not about time management anymore. This one is going to be about the atmosphere inside of the team. As Victoria said, it's important to to see the difference between personal things and the working process. So it's really important to differentiate them and to kind of put them in different boxes. So that will, number one, help you to maintain your friendship and maintain a good atmosphere within the team. And number two, it will help you to build an effective communication, about some working points and so on. So I want you to, I think it will be useful for you to just sit and for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, discuss this point and clarify for yourself what you mean by personal things and what you mean by the working process and how you will be differentiating them. And also about this point is it's important to not be afraid of criticism, of objective criticism. And it means both. It's important to not be afraid when someone criticizes you, and it's important to not be afraid of giving criticism to another person in your team. So for example, if you see that one of your teammates is not doing their job properly, or the result of the job doesn't satisfy you, you should not be afraid of saying, hey, I believe that this task could be completed in a better way, or the result of your task doesn't fit what I have to do. I mean, sometimes you have to base your work on the results of another teammate. And if the result is not satisfying for you, please make sure to say that to that person. There is nothing bad about criticizing each other. It helps you, again, to improve your project, to find weak spots, and to build one common opinion on what you do. Next is the attitude towards your project. Again, I'll take our team as an example. In our team, it just happens so. I am the most pessimistic person ever, really. So it works like that. When we're solving the case, I was very scared. I was like, oh my God, no, we're doing it wrong. It's not going okay. Everything is awful. And 3 of my teammates were very optimistic. They were supporting me. They were like, no, it's going to be fine. Everything's going to be okay. You're doing great. Just trust me. But as soon as we presented our project to the jury and we were waiting to the results, things have changed in the opposite direction. So 3 of my teammates were like, oh my God, the presentation was a disaster. We're not going to win. Never, ever. I was like, everything's fine. Why are you so worried about it? And I believe it's kind of what you also should do while solving your business case. What I mean is that when you're working on your project, it's important to be objective. It's really great when you believe in your project, but while solving, you have to be the person who criticizes it the most. It's vital because that helps you to not miss any of the mistakes. It helps you to work through all of the weak spots and to build a strong foundation for your project. It helps you to understand why you're making one decision or another. But when you're presenting your project, you still have to be aware of the mistakes that you've made, because I believe you will not be able to fix all of the mistakes you found. When you will be presenting your project, there still will be some weak spots. But when you're presenting it, it's important to, put all of that mistakes somewhere to the shelf to remember about them. But it's important to believe in your project like it's the only thing you have in your life. And, it can really be seen by the jury whether you are confident about what you did or not. So if you're staying in front of the experts, you're presenting your project and your hands are shaking, you're not believing what you're saying, you will never convince them that you have done a great job. That's just how it works. It's psychology. So again, while working on the project, be objective and criticize your work. But while presenting it, please trust yourself. believe in what you did and be confident, because I'm really sure that you will do a great job, every one of you. Next point, also about presenting your project. You have to be really short. There should be no extra useless facts in your presentation, because experts listen to many of the presentations throughout the day. They listen to like just one after another, sometimes even without a break. So there's just one team, they're coming in, telling the presentation, coming out, and then the next team is arriving. And it's important to, only say what is meaningful and what is relatable to your project. It is also great if you rehearse your presentation in advance, because, during the presentation, you will be nervous. You will be, I know it like firsthand. You'll be very nervous. Your hands may be shaking. You'll be like sweating. Oh my God. It's a very stressful situation, not gonna lie. And if you rehearse your presentation in advance, it will be easier for you to not mess anything up, to not forget any of the important and meaningful points that you wanted to state, to not begin, repeating the words or something else, anything that may spoil the the general view of your presentation. Also, adding to the previous point, all of the information that you put in words, like during the oral presentation or into your presentation, which is like the presentation with slides that you will be showing to the jury, all of the information that you put in there, again, should be meaningful. For example, if you're doing a project about promotion of some, food, of some restaurant, and you're putting some numbers like 20% of people are willing to go to like another restaurant, it's not going to help anyone. It's just numbers. The experts will look at them and say, okay, 20% of people want to go to some different restaurant, or 20% of people like ice cream, let's say. And what do we get from that? It gives us no information. So please be sure that each letter in your presentation means something, and make sure that your presentation needs everything that you put into it. And I believe it's time for the last block of my speech. It is what happens after the presentation and what you have to remember basically throughout the whole contest. Number one, just remember that what you will take away from this contest is not only prizes. Actually, the most precious and valuable thing that you will take away from you is experience and social connections. And the same attitude should be towards the scores that you will get. Just remember that the most valuable thing that you get from the experts and from the jury is not scores, it's the feedback. So I'm pretty sure that when you will present your project, you will say something like, okay, we've finished our presentation, we are ready to answer your questions. And then the experts will get their time to ask you questions. Some of the experts will not actually ask you questions. They will say something like, okay, I really like your project, but I believe that you could, build your promotion strategy in a better way. Or, for example, you could modify your financial model and make it more detailed. And that is what you have to really understand. That's what you have to that's what you have to pay attention to. You should listen to those small little advices that you will get, because they are really informative and they will help you to improve your skills in the future. And it also will help you to not be so upset if you, for example, will not get the points that you expected. Just, again, remember that what you really need to take away with you is experience and some information on what you haven't done perfectly, on what you could have improved. Next point, what to do if one of the experts have found a mistake in your project. For example, there is the section like of the questions, and you say, okay, we're ready to answer your questions. And one of the experts says, okay, I just noticed that you, in your financial model, you didn't include like the rent for the building. And it's a very important point to include in your financial model, because that, for example, makes a big part of your total expenses. And they're like, okay, that's kind of a mistake. Never, if the jury has really found the mistake, don't deny it. Don't get aggressive, because you should not be afraid of admitting that mistake. And you can say something like, oh, yeah, you're right. We haven't thought about it, but now I'm thinking about it, and this mistake could be resolved in this way, or something like that. If you were not able to come up with the ways of solving this mistake just right away, right during answering this question, you can say, okay, yes, that's a mistake. We'll definitely think it through. Thank you very much for noticing. You're right. It's totally fine to make mistakes. We're all people, and you are very limited in time, so no one is expecting like a perfect solution from you. I'm not even sure that the perfect solution exists, because every presentation could be, modified and made better. But so it's totally fine to make mistakes. And if you made one, just admit it and say, okay, we'll work on it and we'll think it through. And that's how you will always, demonstrate to the jury that you're willing to improve, you're willing to grow and work on yourself. Next point, also about the experts. Please remember that the experts are also people, and they also can get emotional. They can get tired or annoyed or even angry, because we had, when we performed on one of the business contests, in the day before the presentation, our mentor gained us all together and said, okay, you know what? I've just gotten an information from people who just finished their presentation, and I want you to be ready that the jury can be angry. They can be annoyed. They can be a little bit aggressive towards you. And we were like, okay, that's fine. It was something unexpected to hear, but later on, we realized that it's totally normal. When I was listening to other people's presentations, I got really tired. I've been listening to them for only an hour, and it's a very, tiring thing to do. So the experts are listening to like 10 or 20 projects in a row. That can happen. And if you come to present your project and you see that the jury is tired, and during the question section, they will be a little bit aggressive, don't take it personal. It's only because, again, it's because being an expert is a really hard thing to do. So please respect the right to get annoyed and get tired. And the last thing, but not the least, it's one of the most important things I believe in being a part of the team, is self-reflection. It's thinking about what you've done before. In our team, we have a little tradition, but I really love it. After every contest, we get together, we organize, usually it's a Zoom call, and we discuss 4 questions. Question number 1, what we liked about our work. Like, for example, I like that we were all very productive, or I like that we were willing to help each other, or I liked how we did the financial model this time. It was really cool. Number 2, we discussed what we didn't like. For example, I didn't like that we wasted so much time on arguing. Number 3 is what we would have improved. It's like, okay, if I made this project again, I would make the promoting, the marketing strategy in a different way, and so on. And number 4 is just the general, general experience, general attitude. And usually it's the section where we can speak out and say, okay, it was like really nice to work with you guys. It was a really tiring and challenging experience, but I liked it because, I improved my skills in making websites or something like that. And I believe if you begin doing that thing too, maybe in your own style, but in one way or another, you will get a lot of positive emotions, and you will actually learn so much about you and your teammates, and you'll make your connections within the team much stronger. And actually, that's probably because of that practice, I now feel like my team is my family. It's 3 people that I can turn for help to, that I can write in the middle of the night and they will help me, because we know so much about each other. We know our weaknesses and strengths, and what helps us stay together and work more effectively. Now, a couple of the points, it was like a general information for any team, for everyone in the team. And I have 2 points about, specifically for analysts. Those are 2 obvious things, but I believe they're very important, and it's really essential to always remember about them. Number 1 is always check your resources, and always check if the information is applicable to your project. For example, in our last business contest, we had, again, it is a mistake that we made when we were working for like 2 days in a row, almost without sleep. So we were not really attentive and careful. And I didn't notice that mistake when I was looking through the presentation. I was like, okay, this information seems weird, but I believe the person who inserted it into the presentation knows like why it's here and why it's meaningful. So what we did is one of us found a resource saying that the development of AI will significantly influence the economy of our country. And I was like, okay. And we put that information into the results. And later in the section of the questions, we got a question like, okay, so you're saying that your project, like your specific AI center, will significantly influence the economy of your country. And it was kind of impossible because we only did like an educational center. And well, it didn't seem real that such an organization would influence the economy of the country that much. So it turned out that the article that we took this information from was saying about the development of AI in general, and we took that number and applied it to our center specifically. And it's really it's a major mistake. That should not be done. So always check your resources and whether the information is applicable for your project or not. And number 2 is, I don't know, maybe you have heard about it, but there are different approaches to the analysis when solving the business case. And I know about the 2 of the main ones. Number 1 is when you get your hypothesis or build an initiative, or just in general, create the solution after the analysis. So you make a research about the market. For example, you found out that the AI sphere is lacking employees, and you're like, okay, so we're going to build an AI educational center to create those employees. That's the first approach. And the second approach is when things happen vice versa. So you create a solution, and then only after that you find the numbers to justify your solution. So for example, you got the task and you're like, okay, I want to be doing an AI educational center. So I need to find the information why the AI educational center will be useful for my city. And then you find the articles that will help you and give you the information to justify your solution. Those are 2 different approaches, but they both have their advantages and disadvantages. And what I want to say is that it may take you some time to find out which approach is right for you and which approach fits your style of work. So again, don't worry if you tried it one way and it didn't work out. Don't worry, change the approach and go in different direction. So yeah, I believe that's it. If you want to learn more or ask questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. We'll try to answer them. Also, I don't know if we can do this, but I'll try to leave my contacts, and Victoria will leave her contacts in Telegram. And if you guys will need some help or you will want to hear more details about our story, feel free to text us. We'll be happy.
Yeah, thank you so much, Victoria and Alice. You both shared some great tips with us. So guys, if you have any questions, you can feel free to write them in the chat. I will read them out and both Alice and Victoria can answer. In the meantime, I could try to sum up some of the points that you've shared with us. First of all, I think you focused on creating a really good atmosphere between the teammates. This can happen with negotiating the team rules from the beginning, which will lead to discipline. All the team members should respect each other and not interrupting when they are trying to develop and share their ideas, which is really useful, sharing ideas and experiences. And then we talked a bit about the time management, where it is really important to overcome the fear of a blank sheet, start creating without having in mind that you should make something perfect. You can make a lot of versions of your idea, and in the beginning it can have a lot of mistakes, but as long as you correct it, it will become more perfect in the way you want it to be. It is also really important to have feedback and objective criticism between the teammates, which will help each other to develop. If you have any problems with the task that you have to manage, feel free to share it with your team, or even give up if you feel that you don't have your ability to do that. And also try to gain more knowledge by your network, by people who are already experts on the part that you are trying to start your business at. And don't worry if you have arguments, it is really helpful, but also be ready to give up of your argument when you understand that somebody else has right and you should continue on their way. Okay, I see some questions in the chat. Do you think it is better to have a creative video presentation, or should it stay more formal, official?
Yeah, I can answer. So I think that it depends on your task, but I think perfect situation when you have official presentation, but with some creative details. For example, you can do the site if it's relevant for your presentation. You must satisfy the criteria. That's why you need to have some official structure, but also you need to make a good impression for jury, and due to this fact, I think you can have some creative details.
Well, yeah, let me just add something. I believe, there are two types of the presentation. It's a presentation for reading and for watching, and it really depends on what jury you have and what criteria, because we made two different presentations. Our presentation for one business contest was completely visual. We try to make an accent on pictures and any visual types of conveying the idea. And for the last business contest, we made a very, very official presentation for reading with a lot of text. But even if you're doing a presentation for reading and you include a lot of text, again, make sure the text is short, and make sure to complete this text with maybe some visual representations, like graphics are really well, diagrams, everything that helps to understand your idea more quickly.
Okay, we have some more questions. So we have a question saying, any suggestions for a lone wolf? Let me explain that, because we have some teams formed by 5 members each, but some members may give up or not continue working. So some people end up working alone, or in 2 of them or 3. So there are a lot of questions of, is it bad if at the end we are only 2 or 3, if I'm alone, how should I present myself, and how can we overcome this disadvantage, let's say?
Well, first of all, I wish you luck. It's definitely not a thing. Well, you should not give up. First of all, I believe it's possible to finish the project yourself. Again, use your social connections. You can ask for help from people, from your friends, from your parents, from any experts you know. You can text someone and be like, okay, can you find a person who knows this information, who knows how to do this? About the presentation, just be confident. I know it can be harder to present a project by yourself when you don't have support from your teammates, but again, you can just believe in yourself, because if your teammates, for example, gave up or they left by any reasons and you're still here, it's already a very strong sign that you're a very strong and motivated person. So I believe that everything's going to be fine. Just try to take some rest and don't overwork, and believe in yourself. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, and I add some information. I think that I agree with Alicia. You need to believe in yourself, but also you need to be a great manager for yourself. Time management is a key to success, because you have a lot of tasks and less time and less resources. So please think about time management. And another thing, you really need to believe in yourself, and fun moment. Then in the final, we have a lot of teams with Lone Wolf, and it was okay. So really, just don't give up.
Yeah, definitely not give up and keep the faith, because last year we also had some teams with less members that did great in the results. So always keep on going and believe on yourself, because I'm sure that all of you have some great ideas, even if you're working as individual. And the last question I can see right now from the participants is, are there any sources that you would recommend to find good structure for business plan? Because I think Victoria stated that when you have a presentation, you should follow a structure. So maybe you can share some sources with us.
I think yes. So you can check presentation of winners of last year's, and also you can check some presentation of another business cases, maybe some university business cases. So look at different works from different business cases, and I think they have similar structure. I think you will understand this structure.
Yeah. Also, remember that a lot of contests are different, and mainly the structure is told to you by the criteria. Like usually you have the criteria which says, okay, you have to complete this, this, and this. Like you have to have a financial model, you have to have the list of the sponsors, your marketing strategy, and so on. But also there are a lot of the common structure is pretty the same, so you can find it anywhere and it will be okay. You can just Google it. But when you're doing the presentation, make sure it's easy to follow it and you're answering all of the questions that the experts may have. So make sure to tell a story. So your story always has to have the beginning, it has to have a strong plot line where everything is structured and everything is stated. And it also should have the ending with all of the conclusions that you make, for example. Like that, the results of our work will be this, this, and this.
Okay, thank you. And now we have another question. How do you deal with group mates that, though you delegate a particular task to them, has done little to no progress on it? I think we've talked a little bit about it, but it should be really important to repeat it and give some more tips about it.
I think that the main thing in this situation is the reason, why person can't do this. you need to speak with this person, and it's like you will have like some ways in this situation. If person say that I don't know how to do this, you need to find expert or find some materials that and this participant will use it and will do the task. Another situation when you don't have like motivation in a team, and in this situation, you need to have reflection, and Alice said about reflection after work. But I think when you have problem during the work and everything is bad, you need to have this reflection during work and just honestly speak with each other what your purpose and why everything is bad, and not just speak about this, but think how you can deal with this. So I think something like this.
Okay, nice. And before saying the last goodbye for today, I have to ask you some more questions, actually two, that have frequently been asked in our WhatsApp and Telegram chats. So one of them is that since the deadline for the business case is approaching, the participants have the question of how we should like put the final touches on, like, should we record our presentation once and then re-record it, or should we just stay in the first record and give this one to the jury?
Oh, may I clarify, do the participants actually record their presentation like on a video and then send it?
Yeah. In
like,
the first round, they have to record the presentation. So a frequent asked question is that should we record it once, or if we find problems, should we re-record it or edit it or add some parts? So which way would you go?
It's a really unusual format for us because we've only participated with a live presentation, but I would say, really personally, I would do it like that. I would rehearse the presentation several times without recording it, and then just imagine myself being on a live presentation. So you only have a live presentation once. You have only one attempt. So it's better, I believe, for me personally, it would be better to rehearse it several times before and then record it only once. But again, everyone's different, and you may find it more suitable for you to re-record it several times. It's also okay. Just remember that your presentation, your video probably will not be perfect. Like every time you will have some little mistakes or pauses or something like that. Don't be afraid of that. It just makes your video more natural and easier to relate to. So yeah, that's my version. Maybe Victoria has another answer.
No, I absolutely agree with Alice. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And the really last question for today is the following one. After the business case round, in the first part of the competition, they have to peer grade each other. So they have to grade other teams. And by your experience, where you have been judged a lot of times by others, what do you think is a really important criteria to judge another team? Like, which points are you searching in a business case presentation?
Well, in the contest that we've participated in, we had like a very strict criteria. There were like many, I believe almost like 10 of the criteria, and they were all very detailed and described really great. But if you're just giving a grade without any specific criteria, what I would look at, well, first advice, please be objective. Like if you see the strong presentation, give it what it deserves. And what I would look at is first how the team members communicated with each other during the presentation. Like it's a really good sign when, for example, while answering the questions, the team members are giving each other to speak, but also adding like the answers to each other. It's a professional thing to do. Also, I would look at how well structured the presentation is. Like, did I understand everything that they wanted to say? how they answered the questions. Again, did they admit some mistakes that they've made? Or probably if they didn't know something or didn't think something through, did they say it out loud, or they try to, somehow go away from that question? And the visual part is also important. I believe having a good presentation, having well-selected pictures, well-made graphics and diagrams is the right thing to do. Also, the idea of the project itself, like how unusual it is and whether it really solves the task that was given. And the last thing is how detailed the solution is. For example, you can say okay, we're going to do the AI educational center. That's one thing. And on the other hand, you can say, okay, we're going to do an AI educational center. We're going to hire this, and this person to rule it. We're gonna promote it in that way. That's what we will be wasting money on, and that's how we will be earning money. Those are the courses that we will be teaching. So how well the people have really thought about this project and whether it can be applied to the reality, not just some imaginable picture in your mind, but a real business, a real thing to do.
Yeah, and also I think when you do the project, you need main things in case is logic. Why, for example, you do this, not that, and details. And about this, said Alisa. And also, I think you need to ask yourself during work why we are the best and why we okay, we did decide, but maybe other teams do the same. And why our team is the best? You need to really think, why are you unusual? Because as I said in my speech, satisfying the criteria is not enough. You need to satisfy the criteria and do something beyond, because it's well, jury is expected from you this.
Oh yeah, Victoria just added about the analysis, how deep it is and how wide it is. So whether one solution or another is justified. So if it's really great when the team can answer the question why did you choose this sphere to go to? If they say, okay, we just thought about it and we decided to go there, it's not a really good thing to do. And if they say, okay, we conducted an analysis and the statistics shows that this is the most, I don't know, this is the sphere that develops at the highest speed right now, and that's why we went into it. That shows that the team has really thought about it and they have many justifications for their decisions.
Yeah, for example, in our project, we have detail about room, we have a design, but also we have 2 alternative room for our project, and we compare why we choose this, not choose that. And if you have something like this in your project, I think that's great, because you really show that you think about alternatives. And I think that you need to be brave to have really deep analysis, just not Google have the first link and yeah, that's our analysis. No, in our case, we have 2 weeks for preparing, and first 3 days we spent on only analysis, and after this we have a solution, and we again have analysis, because we need to have deeper information about our solution. So please be patient about analysis.
Oh wow, thanks. I think we have a really good guide for how to peer grade, and I think that combined with our grading parameters, the guys will be able to do a really good peer grading. Once again, thank you a lot, Alice and Victoria. Also, every participant that joined today, thank you so much. I hope you the best of luck in the business case round and afterwards in the other rounds. Also, Alice and Victoria, best of luck with your business cases and with your studies. Thank you for joining us today, everyone. The outputs of the today meeting will be sent through our official chats, and also you will be able to watch today's lecture on demand in our YouTube channel, and we will share the link. So thank you all for joining today.
Thank you very much for calling us. It was a big pleasure. Bye.
Yeah, goodbye.